These will be the shoes that I'll be reviewing today. We have Hoka One One, Altra, Salomon, Timberland, Vasque, and Zamberlan. Alright, so we're going to be reviewing these 6 pairs of shoes. I also tried on the Merrell Moab 2s, but I've already returned those, so I'll talk about them, but unfortunately I don't have them here to show you. So the first thing that I just want to point out is I'm looking for a waterproof hiking boot. So I need something to support the ankle, and as you can see, one of the things that I've done here is just put them all out so that you can see the difference in the height. The Zamberlan is going to be the highest, and at the highest point this is about 7.5 inches up, and that's including of course the heel here. The lowest is the Lone Peak Altra, and at the highest point it's about 5.5 inches. So that's the first thing to look at. The other 3 are pretty much the same, other 4. The Hoka is about 6.5. This is 6.5. This is the Salomon. The Vasque, a little less than, it's about 6.25. And the Timberland is about 5.5, almost 6. So again, lowest fitting on the ankle is the Altra, and the highest is of course the Zamberlan. The Zamberlan has a couple of different models. This is the Merrell that I tried on. So that gives you a little bit as far as the height. The other thing, because I'm looking for something waterproof, and I know I'm going to be walking through water from time to time, as we all do when we hike and backpack, is that the one thing that I'm very concerned about is where the tongue actually meets the ankle part. Because even though the ankle is supported in all of these, when it comes to water leaking in from the tongue, I want to know how high that is. And so I'll go down the line here. This one's right at 5 inches, and this is the Hoka. The Alta is going to be my lowest, and that's less than 4 inches. It's about 3 3/4. So again, if you're going to be doing any hiking where you know you're going to be in water, if the water is more than, say, 3 inches, maybe even 2.5 inches, this boot is going to leak. The Salomon is at about 5. The Vasque, the tongue actually, when it meets the ankle, is actually pretty high. It's almost 5.5 inches. So that's really good as far as where the tongue is meeting here. The Timberland is at about 4 3/4, and then of course this one is higher up anyway, and this one's going to be at 5.5. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of an idea as far as where the tongue actually is sewn or connects to the ankle support. The next thing that I want to do is look at the actual toe box. If you're not familiar with the term or that, what we're talking about is the top part here of the shoe past the ankle. And a couple of things to look at here. I'm going to bring one of these a little bit closer so that you can see. I'll bring the Timberland over so that you can see. So this part here is the toe box. Now what you're going to find is that the length from, say, where this stitching is to the end, so you've got the length here that you have to think about, as well as the width, the widest part. So I'm going to compare a few of these side by side. Right now I'm looking at the Hoka One One compared to the Altra. I don't know if you can see this in the camera or not, but the Hokas are extremely wide. This is a regular, this is not a wide width boot, but as you can see here at the widest part, we're at about 4 inches, whereas the Altas everybody says the Altas are a wider width, but as you can tell, at the widest part, this is about 3 1/2, maybe not quite that. Salomon, they always say these are a shorter width, but again, I'm really not seeing that. These are about 3 1/2 as well. The Vasque is another wider one. This is, well, it's actually about 3 1/2 as well. The Timberland is only at about 3 for the width and the toe box. And also the Zamberlan. Zamberlan's at about 3 1/2. Now let's compare the toe box length. So I'm going from the stitching here, right where the first lace comes on, and this is about, the length is about 3 inches. That's on the Hoka. And again, the first lace here, this is about 3 inches on the Alta. The Salomon, about 3 inches. The Vasque is a little less than 3 inches. The Timberland, again, is going to be the shortest. It's about 3, not quite. And the Zamberlan actually came in at the least length at about 2 3/4. The length and the width of the toe box is going to be really super important. So for instance, if you have, say, very short stubby toes, then you want a shorter, not as long toe box. Obviously, the wider your foot is, the wider you want your toe box to be. So for me, I wear a solid 7. Whenever you buy boots, you want to go up at least a 1/2 size. So all of these boots here are a 7 1/2. And as you can see, some of them, the length of the toe box is a lot less. So from what I've already showed you, one thing to think about, the Hoka One One, even though these are all considered regular, they're not wide, they're not narrow. All of these are regular. The Hoka One One has the largest toe box, both in the length as well as the width. So if you have a more wide foot, the Hoka One One might be a good fit for you. A lot of people say the Salomons are for narrow feet, but I didn't really find that. When I tried these on, they actually felt really good on as far as the width and the toe box. The ones that I found very tight for me, and again, I've got a regular, I don't have narrow, and I don't have wide feet. The two that were the most narrow fit was the Timberland and the Zamberlan. One thing to keep in mind, these two had the narrowest toe box as well as the length as well. Now the length is not going to change, but with leather, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is it will stretch out over time. Both of these shoes, I will tell you, I'm so impressed with the construction. These shoes are going to last you forever. My first pair of hiking boots that I ever bought was all leather. I still have that boot and I still wear it from time to time. The tread on it is still really, really good. The only thing with them is over time, the crease on the top by the toe box has gotten pretty damaged and pretty indented in, so I can't do long hikes with them, but I still use them around the house for like yard work and stuff. But if you're looking for a boot that is going to last a really long time, one of these may be a good choice for you. The only thing that I would recommend is if you have a regular to wide foot, you're going to have to go wide in these. Even with the Timberland, these do come in a wide. I believe the Zamberlan as well come in a wide, but I know the Timberland do. This shoe fit so well, and I liked it so much when I had it on, except it was just too narrow. One of the reasons, so I really liked the Timberland. It felt really good on when I tried it on, and again, I don't have a narrow foot. If you've got a narrow foot, this is probably going to be a really good choice for you. The other thing with the Timberland, besides it being very, very well constructed and is going to stand the test of time, is that the price point is really good on these right now. I got these on sale. They were less than $90, believe it or not. And they'll just, like I said, they're going to stand the test of time. Zamberlan, this is Italian leather. Again, the construction in these is incredible. However, you're going to pay for it. These are over $200. So I've tried all of the boots on, and when testing boots, here's what I do. First of all, you want to wear the same sock or socks that you're going to wear when you're hiking. For me, I always wear a liner and I always wear a wool blend sock. So when you're testing, again, make sure that whatever sock or socks you're wearing is the way that you test it. The next thing that I do is I put the boot on and I just walk around the house for a little bit, and then I sit and I watch TV or read or something like that, and I just sit with the boot on for about an hour, and then I do a little bit more walking around the house. If I still like the boot, then I'll start testing it by walking outside and maybe hitting a trail. So here, I've tested all of these outside, I've tested all of these inside, I've tested them all on trails. And so here's what my determination is of these 6 shoes. First, I'll talk about the Hoka One One. I'll bring this boot closer so that you can see it. First of all, notice the heel. This has a pretty high heel on it. And I encourage you to go out to Hoka's website and read about the technology of the way that this sole was constructed. It looks flat, but inside there's this rocking motion. And the technology is that it's to propel you forward. So for me, and again, I've got a regular size foot. This is a size 7.5. I usually am a solid 7. This was too wide for me, even with the liner and wool blend sock. It was too wide. So that was one thing. The other thing is the rocking motion I did not like. I did not like how it felt when I walked in it. So for me, these did not work, but it was worth a try. I think they also make trail runners, and if you're into running out on trails, the Hoka One One would be one that I would strongly suggest that you at least try, because the whole technology is based on trail runners, and the 2 people that invented this technology with the sole wanted to really propel forward and get some time off of their runs, and so that's where the technology comes from. So again, if you're a trail runner, this might be a good choice for you, not in a boot but in a shoe. Next, let's take a close look at the Altra. Altra also has an interesting technology in that it's a zero drop. If you're not familiar with that term zero drop, what that means is if you look across here, it's completely flat. So there is literally no heel on this boot at all. There is, when you feel inside and when you have the boot on, there's definitely an arch support, so it's not flat-footed. The thing with these, I was really excited about the zero drop, because one thing to keep in mind is when you're looking for a shoe or a boot is, you know, what are your other shoes like? And for me, number one, I'm barefoot about 70% of my day. So of course I'm flat-footed. The other thing is when I do go out, a lot of the shoes that I wear are pretty low profile. So I was very excited to try this. Unfortunately, a couple other things about the construction that I did not like. Number one, I didn't like, as I've already pointed out, where the tongue met on the actual shoe. If you're going to be in water for more than for more than 2 inches, you're going to have to take these boots probably off. Otherwise, you're going to get water inside. So that was the first thing. The second thing is the way that these are laced up. I don't know if you can see this, but every time you lace these up, you're going to have to literally lace them through, which I found to be a pain in the you know what. So for me, the other thing is that even though the tongue comes out pretty far from the actual rest of the shoe, I found it really difficult to get this shoe on for some reason. I was really fighting with it. So I don't want to have to fight every time I put my boots on. So again, the Altra was not a good one for me. Salomon. I love the construction of this shoe. It's really a hardy shoe. The other thing is it is so lightweight. Salomon makes a couple of different styles and boots. I chose this one because of the lightweight. The other thing that I really liked about this is it has, again, I don't know if you can see this on camera, it has a very special type of locking mechanism, and it's actually called a lace locker. And once you lace this through, there's a little ring that you actually snap down, and it holds this in place. And I really like that technology. It's really cool, and this is probably their own copyright, because I haven't seen this in any other boot. So I really like that. The thing that I didn't like, and I will tell you that this felt really comfortable on, but when I started walking in it, the sole of this is really thick. And after a while, maybe it might loosen up a bit, but it was way too tight for me. And what I mean by that is I felt like I had Frankenstein boots on. It was just like plop, plop, plop. The toe box didn't give at all. And I didn't like the feel of how it felt when I walked in it. So again, the Salomon's is not a good choice for me. I'm going to go next to the Timberland. Again, the construction of this shoe is incredible. Just absolutely beautiful. Because this runs narrow, if you notice here, I changed the lacing on it. And I really wanted to like this shoe. Number one, the price point, $90. And I know that this shoe is going to last forever. All leather. I liked how high the tongue met here. You know, unless I'm in 3 inches or more of water, I'm not going to have any water leakage. And I really, really wanted to like this shoe. I hiked outside with this shoe the first time 1 mile, and then I did 2 miles the next time, and then the next time I did 5 miles. So I did a total of what, about 8 miles in this shoe. Here's what I found out. As far as the narrow, it's way too narrow for me. And the reason why I know that, 1 mile and 2 miles I was fine. When I got to a 3 mile hike, my right foot started tingling and it actually felt a little numb. And after about 3.5 miles, it got so bad that I had to sit, take the boots off, wait about 15 minutes to just let my feet relax a little bit. And then I put them back on. And then I walked back and the same thing happened. After about 2.5, 3 miles, it started hurting again, and my foot actually felt like it was going to go to sleep. So there's just too much pressure on the sides of my foot for this. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you do have narrow feet, this might be a really, really good choice for you. You can even see on the back side of this that it's narrow. It's a narrow fit. One thing to also keep in mind, Timberland does make a wide version of this. And so if you have a regular size foot, you might want to, if you do order these or you go to a store that has them in stock, you might want to try a wide. That might work for you. So unfortunately, these aren't going to work for me. The Zamberlan, again, the beauty of this craftsmanship of this shoe is incredible. Italian leather, just incredible. Just the most beautiful boot in the world if you're into boots. So, and again, because the tongue is hitting so high up, you can go into probably 4.5 inches of water, and you're not going to get any water leakage in these. So a couple of things about these as well. Again, the tread on these really, really good. And I did about a 2 mile hike in these outside. These two, just like with the Salomon, these two, they have really good treads. But the problem with this one too was that clumpiness. I just clop, clop, clop. The toe boot does not move at all. And I just did not like that. I felt like I was walking in Frankenstein boots or something. The other thing, and I did know this beforehand, just keep in mind because you've got more height here on the ankle, it is going to take some time to break these in. The reviews that I read about these all said that at first it might not be very comfortable on the ankle. It wasn't too bad, especially when you've got socks on. It's not too bad. But the thing is it's definitely going to take some time to break these in, especially in the ankle area. But again, incredible shoe. If you want a really solid, sturdy boot that's going to last a lifetime, literally, you can get these resold. These are on the expensive side. They're a little over $200. So it's an expensive shoe, but it's well worth it if you're looking for a really, really solid shoe. The other thing is because it's more of the narrow fit, if you've got narrow feet, this might be a good option if you're looking for a boot. So the last pair is the one that I actually have fallen in love with. This is the Vasque, and it's the Mesa Trek version. They also make a Breeze. I think they're at Breeze 2 now, which is a phase 2. Number one, extremely comfortable. I liked, again, where the tongue hit the ankle here. I've got a good probably 3 inches that I can go in water. These are waterproof as well. Extremely light. I'm not sure what the lightness is. The reason why I didn't do the Breeze or didn't try the Breeze and I tried the Mesas instead was because these were inspired by trail runners and they're a little bit lighter. And I have a tendency, my feet have a tendency to get fatigued easily, so I was looking for something fairly light. The other thing that's a little bit unique, and I didn't think that I was actually going to like it at first, but the more that I use these boots, the more I started liking it. And it seems like a silly little thing, but the shoestring on these is really, really tiny. It's very, very thin. And like I said, at first, it's going to be different than any other shoestring from any other boot that I've tried. And at first I didn't think I was going to like it, but after I had used these for a couple of hikes, I actually fell in love with this shoestring. I didn't think it was going to hold up, but it's actually really, really strong. So they're very comfortable. Notice the heel here it's not a real high heel, just basically it's maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch heel at the most. It has really good support on the arch. It's not too high, not too low. I like the toe width for me. I like the height of the ankle. I like how it laces up. I'll show you that here. It's got 2 clips on the side, and you've got, I mean, the shoestrings are extra long. So you've got plenty of shoestring here. And that might be a small little thing, but sometimes it's the little things that can start to annoy you. Anyway, I've probably hiked a good 20 miles in these. And the last hike that I did was about 8 miles. About 4.5 miles out and then back. And my feet felt fine. So for me, the Vasque was the winner. There was one other shoe that I tried, and I don't have that because I already returned it, but it was the Merrell Moab. I think it was phase 2 is what they're at. And that one has gotten really high reviews. For me, unfortunately, it felt really, really good on, and I thought this is going to be a really great boot. And it was for the first mile, but after 1 mile in those boots, my feet started hurting, and it was almost like a fatigue, like I had been walking like about 30 miles. And when I kept walking in them, that pain started going up my legs into my knees, and after about 3 miles, it was actually in my hips. And I did 4, maybe 5 hikes with those boots, and every single time that happened, I have no idea why my body was like not responding to that boot, but it did not work for me at all. I have no idea, again, why that would happen. Something in my anatomy or the way that my body moves or something, but the Merrell Moab is a really great boot. There's lots of reviews that make it makes it in the top 10, I think, for 2019 as far as 2020, but it just didn't work for me. So that's my review. I hope you learned maybe a few new things. I know that not everybody can go out. A lot of the stores still are not open, so you can't try on boots. I was fortunate enough that I could literally afford to buy 7 different pairs of boots and try them all on. Of course, I'm going to be returning 5 of these. I've already returned the Merrell Moabs. So again, I hope you found this helpful in finding the boot that's going to work for you.